This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the class, this was setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
ATL movie fans, ATL TV series fans, Marvel MCU fans. How's everybody doing? It's your host T-Will and my guy, Mr. Jordan Burden. Jordan, how you doing this morning, sir? All well?
I'm doing good. It's hot out. We're in the middle of a heat wave, but we're pushing through. But how you doing?
I'm good, man. I have no complaints. Wouldn't matter if I did. I'm playing around with the I like that. I like that a lot better. Let's go with that. All right, cool. So today we're talking about Jessica Jones, season 3, the end of the line, the last Netflix series officially before they moved over to the Disney Channel and the official MCU. And well, they were part of the MCU before, but man, it's the last one, and this was an interesting one because the villain is a regular dude, man. He's not powered. He's an extremely intelligent serial killer. If Dexter was a really bad guy, well, Dexter is a serial killer. I guess Dexter's an anti-hero. Well, this guy is Dexter who just kills people just for the heck of it. But let's get into it, my friend. So the last time we left Jessica, season 1 was Kilgrave, the dude that had mental power over her. Season 2 was IGH and that strange entity and her mom working stuff out, which ended with her mom's death. And, Jessica, because of what happened, because Trish killed her mom, Jessica's a little pissed with her. Okay. She's a little upset with her. And let's talk about that for a second. Because you and I, in another series we did, we had an interesting tango when it comes to this. I know that it was a bad thing that Trish killed Jessica's mom. I get it. I understand it. It's terrible. And I probably would be pissed forever. But if Trish doesn't do that, it probably ends very badly for Jessica. So, with that being said, I'm asking you, how do you feel about Trish killing Jessica's mom? And yeah, just give me your thoughts on that. Let's start with
I thought it was overall just a dumb decision. I felt like that was a very cheap, easy way out. And I don't know how Jess and Trish's relationship could ever be repaired from that moment forward.
Right.
Like there's nothing that they could have done to have it repaired, and vice versa. If it was on the flip side and Jess was the one to have killed Trish's mom, how would that would have never been repaired? So I thought it was a dumb decision. I thought it was an easy way out. It felt like a cheap way to end a season and just to push the issue for a future season, and that being this one. And that's actually why the beginning of this season for me was not very good, because it felt like they were just pushing this narrative of Trish to start this season, We really didn't get into the antagonists until later on. And I like the antagonists in the season mainly because season 2 really didn't have an antagonist. It was like nobody was the villain in season 2, and you and I both agreed that it felt like they were, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't remember.
Plot devices.
Yes, there was just like a lot of plot devices to set up a narrative, but it felt like the narrative was not a full picture because there was no antagonist. Some point that it was Jess's mom, maybe. But by the end of the story, she wasn't, and she was more of it felt like there was more bumps in the road than walls. Like, a villain should be a wall. A villain should be preventing the hero. Yes, it should be preventing the hero from saving everyone, and instead of a speed bump. And it feels like Jess's mom and Trish are speed bumps in season 2 and 3. That they're not like Trish, especially in season 3. I can't stand her. Season 1, I was like, all right, she's kind of annoying, but whatever. Season 2, you can see the whole process watching all the reviews. Season 2, I was like, she's kind of annoying, and season 3, she's a full-on speed bump. Like, she just is preventing everything good from happening. And is the final outcome for her good? I like that she mentally realized that, like, oh, I screwed up by the end of this season, but it felt like way too late in the matter. And like, normally, I think, if Disney had the rights this entire time, Trish would have probably turned like 3/4 of the way through the season, and then the final quarter of the season is Jess and Trish together fighting the bad guy. But that's not what happened, and I like the antagonists in this. I was like, I really like this guy. Like, this villain goes to show the conversation we had about Jess's powers, that she's just strength. That's it. She's not bulletproof. She's not even knife proof, and which is confusing because she's so strong that she's stronger than Captain America. Like, it's like way stronger than Captain America. It's just very confusing. Like, I don't know I don't think she has that much powers. Like, at least Trish has quick reflexes on top of her strength. But in the end, it goes to show that they're not even a third of a prestigious fighter. Like, prestigious fighter and Jessica Jones never go hand in hand in this series. And this guy is just a simple dude. He's not even the most fit guy in the world, and he's able to take them down. And that's insane to me. And again, an issue that you and I brought up is that it felt like these 2 seasons aren't superhero shows. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like they were trying more for like a detective mystery series instead of realizing that, like, hey, these are superheroes. These people, like, this is the same world that that Thanos is going to snap his fingers in, that we had an alien invasion in, and we're not like we're
killing your parents for your own good because I'm a good father. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm better than Odin. Go ahead. Don't look. I'm about to kill your parents, okay? And then I'm going to kill you about 5 movies later. But I love you. I do. Go ahead.
It wasn't 5 movies. I mean, it was 5 movies later, but it was like 20, 30 or 25, 30 years later. But it just feels like this was more of a mystery in these. Now, season 3 is better in terms of like superheroisms, where it will say, but I'm gonna bring back, because I haven't said this in a while, being comic booky. These 2 seasons are far from comic booky, like very far. In fact, they're probably towards the furthest away from being comic booky. Um, season 1 is more comic booky because of the main villain being his Kilgrave and his power set. And Luke Cage is also in it. Like it's very comic booky, but these 2 seasons far from it. Season 3 gets better with it. And there's going to be aspects where I'm talking as if I put season 3 higher than season 2, but I kind of put them in the same ballpark, and I know which one I like more because I think there's more consistency with the plot overall. I don't know where this season was headed. By episode like 5 and 6, I was confused. I think there were episodes where it got better, but there were a lot of negative episodes for me in this season.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this. I think there was so much focus on the story and the detective film noir that they really did almost forget that this was a comic book. Yep, right. Yep. So it's like if Jessica Jones wasn't a superhero, the story is almost the same in both season 2 and season 3. Almost. Okay. I mean, her mom was superpowered, but it feels like there was so much of a focus on the detective noir and the mystery and thriller aspect. And the characters themselves that they forgot that Marvel's core audience are basically fans of superheroes. And I felt like that was a mistake. I look, I don't mind the story, okay? Especially since we started doing this, like a lot of this stuff is more palatable because of the story. Like I didn't mind season 3 because it was an interesting story. Was it great? No. But it was an interesting story, and there were so many different plot points, and I didn't mind it at all. I didn't mind Salinger being non-powered because, hey man, brains beat brawn. I mean, he was incredibly smart, well planned, and he went against 2 people. Trish is incredibly impulsive. I'm sorry, Trish is incredible. Who the hell is Chris? Trish is incredibly important. She's new at this. She's impulsive, and she plays into his hand a lot.
And that's exactly what this season needed. Like, I think he was perfect for this. Like, I think the actor did a great job. I think the character was well done. I just wish there was more of the character, and I felt like it was introduced earlier on. And like he was perfect for what was needed. It's just the execution was not there from the writer's room and director's room standpoint.
See, I didn't mind them introducing him later because I felt like Jessica and Trish needed to work their stuff out. I really did. Because let me tell you something, Jordan. If somebody killed my mother, I don't know that I could work with them. And the only reason that Trish is alive is because she is basically Jessica's de facto sister. And they are so close. And there's a part of Jessica that wants to work it out, but she just can't because she killed her mom. Right? Now, to be fair, if Trish does not kill her mom and those cops get there, it's going to be very bad. Because they got instructions on shoot to kill. Okay. And Jessica's not bulletproof. To your point, Jessica could have gotten hurt. Jessica could have gotten killed. It could have been very messy. The outcome could have been very bad. So if we're looking at, if we take out the emotional ties and we just look at the metrics and just look at it statistically, the best possible outcome was Trish taking that shot. Now, obviously, it doesn't feel good and there's got to be a sense of betrayal for Jessica. But I felt like they needed those first 3-4 episodes to work it out because, Jessica was pissed, right?
And that's where it felt like that's something that would be good for a half-hour long episodes. But these are supposed to be the close to hour-long episodes, and you could balance that out. Like,
I hear you.
the same thing they did the exact same thing right with Kilgrave.
Right.
Where it's like Kilgrave was in the background. Jessica's doing her own plot for the majority of
Right.
the runtime, but then you'd slowly bring in Kilgrave, and he'd get a longer runtime, and then he'd blend into the storyline and the plot line, and you because you're like, who the heck is this dude? And then by like episode like 4 or 5, you're like, oh, this guy's really crazy. That's where it felt like it's like they had a separate plot going behind the scenes that we didn't know about. And by the time they reveal him, it's like when they wanted to build this dude to be a Zodiac killer without being a Zodiac killer. And I'm just like, this guy's, I expected more, but if you introduced him earlier, I would have probably gotten that, and that would have been enough for me.
That's fair. So let's take a look at the setup. First 4 episodes, Jessica takes a case that quietly introduces Gregory Salinger, a regular case, before revealing his calculated interest in her. Trish is secretly taking the IGH formula, gaining enhanced strength and reflexes. Malcolm leaves Alias for Price Chang's rival agency, planting divided loyalties, and Jerry's ALS diagnosis triggers reckless, controlling behavior. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. It's like everybody, with the exception of Jessica, everybody in this season took some jerk pills. Like they just were all jerks, right? Mm-hmm. So of course Trish becomes a jerk because, the precious. It's like she's got the power and she can do something, but she doesn't have the discipline or the wisdom to proceed. She's just jumping out there like a brand new puppy, and she doesn't realize that a part of being a hero, it starts with who you are on the inside first, not with the powers. And I think she really missed that. Malcolm is going through a process of essentially deciding how far he is willing to go for success, what he is willing to do, what he is not willing to do. And Malcolm goes through a period of self-loathing during this season. Because Jerry's there's no other way. Jerry's just a monster. Jerry is a monster. And not that she was not a monster before, not that she hadn't done some very bad things before, but I would call her behavior this season just downright despicable. As Daffy Duck says, despicable. Just bad. Jordan, give me your thoughts on Jerry and Malcolm and Trish, just the overall vibe of them this season.
God, I hate Jerry. I hate Jerry so much. I'm like, bad. And her character's so pointless too. Like, her character had somewhat of a point in season 1, but even in the other shows, she's such a pointless character, and she's not likable at all.
She's not likable. She just isn't.
Like, all right. I mean, it's actually interesting that we're talking about ALS, and Chris Johnson's diagnosis was revealed this week.
That's right.
Which, I mean, that broke my heart. That's one of my favorite players that I've ever watched. I have his jersey in my closet. Yeah. That broke my heart to see. But I mean, I ended up doing a little bit rehashing research. Because I've done research on ALS before, but I'm kind of rehashing that. And I mean, if we're unless she got snapped away, if she didn't get snapped, I'm guessing she's already kind of in the like wheelchair state.
Mhm.
By the time we're in the modern day MCU in 2027, I think
Mhm.
we're in the year.
Mhm.
That's my guess. So honestly, that's where it's like you need to. So that means when we're in Daredevil Born Again season 1 and 2, she's probably done as a lawyer or whatever, the head of her legal firm or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, all right, what can you do to make this character more likable so that when she does go to that state, we can really feel bad for her. And right now, there like there's nothing. They would have to do a prequel series, probably during the time that was snapped. Maybe do a Defenders series on all the Defenders. What the moment that the snap happened. There's your idea, new idea. Do a Defenders prequel series, not to the Defenders the first, but before Born Again season 1, post the events of basically this show. The moment the snap happens, just going over where all the Defenders are, or the moment the snap happens, who gets snapped away, because that's always been everybody's been very curious about that, who all got snapped away. There's like one character that I'm pretty confident got snapped away, and that was Kingpin. Just with the way that Vanessa and Kingpin kind of their characters interact at the beginning of season 1 of Born Again, it just seems like Kingpin got snapped away. But I'm just during in that series, you could say, like, you could have Jerry kind of go through a more positive outlook and try and help this character and make this character better. But right now, I don't like this character at all, and she's going through an right now incurable disease, um, and I'm just like, I don't care about her at all. Like, she could die, and I'm not gonna feel any sort of emotion whatsoever. And she's been in 3 full seasons of this show and other shows. She has been in all of these shows. If this character dies, I'm not gonna feel anything. And it's not like a Maria Hill situation where it's like, okay, we all know that the actress who plays Maria Hill's been in a lot of different things. So, it's like when we see her, if we see her character die, we're like, all right, whatever. And then we get to Secret Invasion, she dies, and it's like, oh, why did that happen? Even though it was like, why'd they kill her off? That's kind of a dumb decision. But she dies, I'll be like, all right, good, let's go, move on.
Alert. I honestly, I did find myself really disliking her at times. I really did. She's the worst. it's like
Yeah.
it's like an Infinity War when Thor says to Loki, brother, you really are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jerry. She's just the worst. Like, oh my God, she is just a terrible human being. But whatever. It is.
And what's the point of her even showing her scenes in this season? It's like her whole plot leads to nowhere.
Well, I think what they're trying to say is there are some people who just have no redeemable qualities.
So why show her at all?
Because there are people like that in the world. Shouldn't they have representation, Jordan? Look, everybody is not warm and cuddly. Everybody's not a good guy. There are some people that are they're bad and they're self-indulgent, and everything that they do is for themselves.
So would you watch a show on Jerry Hogarth going through this?
That is, you know what? That is a good question. It would depend on the surrounding characters around her.
For me, it's a hell no. I would, because why she is no, like, all right, I understand what, from a moral standpoint, I understand what you're saying. That, like, watching someone like this can motivate people in certain ways. I understand that. But when it comes to her character in general is not, like, even without her going through this, is not a very important character at all to this. Like, if she should have been seen just like Detective what is it? What's his name from all the Daredevil seasons? The detective who he starts off as a police officer. He's friends with Foggy
Right,
and
and
Matt.
I got
She should have been seen just like him, where it's like, okay, I've seen this character. I like you because you're friends with our main character, but I don't want you to take up an entire run times of episodes of entire seasons. Like, I don't need that. It's like, I've from what I see from you, I can see your character grow and rise and fall from behind the scenes. I don't need to see you all the time.
See, I think you did. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Jessica has had to work for people like Hogarth. Hogarth is not the only ruthless, morally gray attorney or morally business person that Jessica would have to deal with. When you're a private eye, you got to deal with some shady folks. And I think the reason she is critical is not only for Jessica, because Jessica reached a point in season 2 where she was like, I'm just not going to deal with you. You know what I mean? I see the kind of person that you are, and I'm going to deal with you the least amount possible. I really am. But in Jessica's business, she has to deal with people like that. Not only that, but Malcolm, who also wants his own detective agency, a part of his character arc is learning when to say no. Is learning that, yes, while you are in the field, while you are a detective, you may have to do some morally questionable things, but you have to have a line. Jessica's had to do something. I mean, basically, look, she's reporting on cheating husbands to their wives, and there was a whole situation that happened because she was spying on, Luke in the beginning. You know what I mean? So she's had to do some morally questionable things. And I think a part of being a good private eye is you got to know when to turn off the moral hat and when to turn it on. Notice at the end of this season, she gives Malcolm the keys. Why? Because he made his decision. Okay, this is what I will do. This is what I won't do. And I've got a clear path. And she saw that he was ready. And he doesn't get to that point if he doesn't work for a monster like Hogarth, right? So from the development of Jessica and Malcolm, I can see a path for Hogarth. Now, what I will say is, did we need as much of her? Probably not. Probably not. I can agree with you there. Let's get into Salinger, right? So he's a different kind of threat. He's got no powers, just intellect and obsession. He's got a superiority complex and a serial killer methodology. And to me, he's a serial killer, but it's like you're looking for a reason to kill.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to just do it. Like, to me, it's like you just haven't. This is my issue with him as a character. Is you just haven't accepted the fact that you just like to kill. Like, you made up this entire code. And again, I don't know his background. I don't know what the stressor was that caused him to get here. But the code just felt like, well, you tell me what your issue is. You admit what you did and whatever. And he's basically judging whatever character deficiencies these people have and killing them. But to me, it comes across like you're just looking for a reason to kill, right? As opposed to killing not all, most serial killers are killing the same person over and over again either a mom or a dad or a brother or a lover or whatever. They just happen to keep doing it again because the first time they did it, it gave them this release that they didn't know they could get. And now they're trying to recreate that feeling. This feels like I'm just looking to kill somebody, and here's why. Now, again, I don't study serial killers, so I'm sure there are some like that, but it just feels like you're just looking to kill somebody, and here's your made-up code. I didn't like that about him. Other than that, he was fine. I thought he was very intelligent. I thought he set traps well. I thought he was genuinely unpredictable. And he did force Jessica to up her game a bit. Like, you know, and not that Jessica was reckless. Half the time, Jessica was chasing Trish and trying to keep her from doing dumb stuff. If Trish isn't involved, Jessica probably wraps this up in 3 or 4 episodes. But because Trish is involved, it's prolonged. But yeah, he's definitely brains over brawn. Let's take a deep dive into him, man. Give me your thoughts on Salinger.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right, I've done studies on murders and stuff, and I mean, my family all watches like all the murder shows, like Investigation Discovery. So I have a deep knowledge on this whole thing, and my stepdad's dad was a detective in Philadelphia, and I've had great conversations with him. I mean, this guy is, from a psychological definition, a psychopath, because most murderers, he's one of the he's the scariest type of murderer that you will. He's the scariest type of serial killer that you will find, because most serial killers, like you say, they kill someone who is like a person in their life, or they'll kill a specific type of person that maybe that hasn't been in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see some like Zodiac Killer went and killed couples, but also would kill women. And you'll see moms, you'll see dads, you'll see grandparents, you'll see this running theme within those. But the scariest ones are the ones that keep going, and there is no pattern, and they truly are the scariest types of people. One example is probably the most well-known, and now that his special came out last year, Ed Gein. Ed Gein, people will say, oh, well, he was trying to kill people like his mom, but he would go off. He would, yes, but then he'd go off the pattern occasionally and just start killing for defense and just for unknown reasons. Those are the scariest types of people. This Salinger is an example of one of those, where I kind of view him like I view Jigsaw, only Jigsaw truly has a code for why he puts people in the traps, and that whole idea gets visited in other movies, is deep into the franchise, where it's like, okay, hey, you're not following the code, you are going to get like the people who take over for Jigsaw past 3 or 4, because there's 10 of them. The people that take over for him, one of them does not follow the code, and he ends up getting punished because of that. And it is very important that you follow that code. You cannot put just anyone in these traps. They need to be people who need to be given a message, and you need to give them a way out of these traps while surviving. So that's why you get people, like, you'll see traps and you're like, there's no way someone survives this, but you can survive it. You just have to lose something because you did something, and you did something wrong. And so not anyone can be put in those traps. Like there is a code to that, and that's why I do really like the Saw movies, because there is a deeper meaning behind a lot of that, which is so absurd and weird, but it makes total sense when you are following the actual plot on top of the obvious contraptions that they're put in. But this guy, unlike Jigsaw, he's like Jigsaw in a way, but it's like his code, he doesn't fully understand his own code yet. And he's like, it's almost like Batman Year One has a code, but it's like he hasn't gotten, he's still at the beginning stages and he doesn't quite understand his code yet.
He has
he's
a
still
certain
trying to,
naivete.
yes, and it's like there's no real limit set yet in his code, and he just keeps going. And again, that's what makes him one of the scariest type of serial killer that you can find. It's because he's very unpredictable, and on top of that, he's well known in the community. So you look at John Wayne Gacy, for example. John Wayne Gacy was very well known throughout his community. He was very involved in his church, and his neighbors all knew him. And he obviously killed a lot of different boys and kept their bodies in his home. But he also had codes that he followed so that he wouldn't get caught. And all of these people in this community, nobody knew. Nobody in this community knew that this guy was as sick of a man as he was, and because he kept with his code. And it took one misstep in his code for someone to find out. So it's what ends up being his problem is that because he doesn't have a limit in his code, he gets caught really easily.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And he's incredibly arrogant. Oh my God, he's arrogant. The Jessica Salinger cat and mouse game intensifies. He manipulates public perception and stages humiliating confrontations, and he does this very well. I mean, he does this very well. They think they got him, and they bring him into the police, and there's no DNA, there's no evidence, there's none of that. Then Jessica figures out, hey, okay, well, let's find his first body. And she finds that the first body was his best friend. And, you know, he slighted him and he buried him under the cabana or whatever. And they dig him up. And Salinger gets that thrown out. Fruit of a poisonous tree situation or whatever. And Trish is going crazy doing her old vigilante thing. And she's making it worse. She's escalating from opportunistic heroics to hurting people that she's decided deserve punishment. And this is, to me, the real journey for Trish and Jessica, because Jessica is trying to hold her hand on this journey, and Jessica finally has to make a decision as to, you know what, I can't undo what she's done. I can't do this anymore. She's got to face the consequences. And that had to be heartbreaking for Jessica. Like, I really felt bad for Jessica in this series because she tried everything she could to help Trish, and Trish just would not listen. Trish would not listen. Jessica's got a relationship with Oscar that deepens, proving that she could let somebody in. And, of course, Oscar is the guy, I believe, that can sense evil, gets a headache when somebody evil is around. And he's an interesting character in and of himself because he decided a long time ago, you know what, people are just basically bad, and I'm not going to try and get hero because A, I'm going to get a headache out of it, and B, it's probably not going to change anything anyway. And so he's got that, you know, and he's got gambling issues, but he's an interesting character. And then Malcolm has divided loyalties, and they kind of come to an head, right? You know, when he goes through a thing where I think he gets caught up in one of the situations, and he kind of has to go in hiding. And of course, Oscar's sister, who is a woman of the night, comes to live with him. And wouldn't you know it, I mean, she's quite friendly. And I honestly don't know why Malcolm did it. I felt like Malcolm was on the run, but I also think that I felt like he took a look at who he was dating and saw who she wanted to be like. And I think he just self-sabotaged that relationship rather than just being straight up and saying, you know what, I don't think this is going to work. Because you want to be Jerry, and I don't want to be with that. And that's okay. And if he would have done that, that's okay. But that's not what he did. So give me your thoughts on that, man. Malcolm, Oscar, give me your thoughts on both of them.
Look, Malcolm, I like Malcolm's character. He's probably my next favorite character of all of the whole show.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty large gap after Jessica. Mainly because I think season 2 he was involved more in Jess's storyline, but this season it doesn't feel like he's too much involved with it. It's almost like when they went into this season, they wanted all the characters to have their own like separate arcs that really didn't connect very well to the overall story and all together. So Malcolm, I like Malcolm's character. I just think we could have probably wrapped up his plot line in maybe an episode. And we could have got him maybe back with Elias, maybe helping Jess a little bit more. I don't know. But it just feels like there was more of like moral epiphanies happening with his character than anything. I do like this character because I've seen his character arc. Of all the side characters since season 1, he is the one character to have a full complete arc. Jess is, I would say he probably has a better arc itself than Jess. Looking at where he was at the beginning of season 1 and then looking at how his character is by the end of this season, it is a very good, nice arc to have. And Jess's character doesn't really have. Season 1, she has an arc. Season 2, we see a little bit of the arc. Season 3, there's not much of an arc here in season 3. It's mainly the same type of arc where it's like, okay, she's dealing with past trauma. That was like season 1 and 2. She's going through the past trauma. She gets through the past trauma, but it doesn't really get completed in season 2 because obviously Trish kills her mom right in front of her. And even though it seems like we've completed it, really haven't. And it leads to this like not fully formed arc that just has that we try to complete by the end of the season, and it ends up getting completed because of the fact that Trish goes onto the raft, because now there's nothing holding Jess back from just going and figuring out who she is. And so when we do see her show up again in Born Again season 2, it feels very satisfying because it feels like Jess finally found something, and she finally has someone to care for in her daughter Danielle. And it's a really nice. It's really nice to see. But otherwise, I don't know. Malcolm just. I wish there was more Malcolm had involved into Jess's actual plot, because this show is called Jessica Jones. If it was not called Jessica Jones, then I'd understand. But it is called Jessica Jones, so I would expect all of the characters to be involved with Jessica somehow, and have all their plots tied into Jessica, and Jessica being at the forefront of some of these character arcs. Unlike Jerry, which really has nothing to do with anything whatsoever. And then what was the name of the guy where he can sense people? Oscar. Oscar is such a nice character to have in the season, especially with all his issues with like gambling and stuff. These are really good character to have for just a season. I like his character a lot, mainly because he added the comic booky to this. It's because
Yeah.
like, yeah, we have two characters who are really strong. One has quick reflexes on top of that. But we and the main villain doesn't have any powers whatsoever. Nobody else has any powers in this entire show. So just having someone like this who can read when people are lying and read people's emotions and stuff, that's actually a really important power. But also, I like the fact that he can't just figure it out. He gets headaches and stuff, and the more intense feeling it is, the more of a headache it causes to him. So I like that. It reminds me of in Days of Future Past when Professor X is sacrificing his mind for his legs. That he wants to keep walking so he can't hear any of the voices in his head, or he can't read people's minds. So yeah, I like this character, especially with. It would have probably been nice to have that for last season with the amount of emotions going through with like Jess and her mom, but I don't think he would have fit really well. So I like where this character was in season 3, and I think he was a really cool character. And especially I love the added gambling problem. I think that's a nice it's clearly like a you can't trust this character fully type situation. And I like that.
Yeah. See, I think Malcolm is doing exactly what because Jessica was so foul to him in season 2, right? So you got to think like he's basically giving Jessica the finger, like I don't want to hang it because she was a jerk to him. All her frustrations she took out on him in season 2, right? So he's probably like F you. Like I get that. I'll do it myself. I get that energy from him, right? Because I mean, she put him in situations where he had to make decisions, and then she would yell at him about it, and then go off. And just the way she handled that was just foul. You know what I mean? And you do see growth in her in season 3, but she was a jerk to him. So I think he's right to be like, F you. I wouldn't want to be around Jessica either. Yeah. Hell no. I'd be like, F you. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay, good for you. I'd be just like, and as episode 1, what's up, Jess? I'd be, oh yeah, you. I like you can feel the energy between them when she comes to the door. Even though he's smiling, it's F you all day. It is big F you energy, and I get it because she was a jerk to him, and she knows it. She knows it. She's not one to apologize. Jessica's kind of a jerk herself. Now, she's kind of gone through an arc, and I think by the end of season 3, she's dealt. Let me be fair. She's gone through a lot. Okay. Yeah. I will give her that. She's gone through a lot, but she's a jerk. Okay. And so Malcolm is a repercussion of her treatment of him. So I feel like Malcolm is doing what Malcolm needs to do. I wouldn't be around Jessica either. It's interesting. I feel like Malcolm is Jessica 5 years prior without the powers, right? Working for, because again, he's a little naive because working for Jerry Hogarth, it's not going to get better. It is not going to get better. And when she decides to represent a serial killer, that's when he's like, you know what? Enough of that. Because he knows what the guy did. And he's like, the fact that you would do that just to get press for your law firm, I can't be with you. But let's talk about the despicable thing that Jerry Hogarth does. So Jerry sees this calling heart. No, don't. Shut up, Siri. Okay, sorry about that. So Jessica does this despicable thing. At the beginning of the season, she goes to visit an ex of hers, I guess the one that got away. knowing this lady's married with the intentions of stealing her from her husband because Jerry's dying and she just simply doesn't want to die alone. And the way she goes about it is very cunning. It's just evil. She befriends him, and he's very receptive. He's more receptive than I would have been. I would have been like, kick rocks. He's not. He's, respectful and tries to meet her and tries to have a conversation with her. And Jerry just, does what Jerry does and, goes and has a rendezvous with his wife. And we find out that they have an open marriage because when their daughter died, it's just kind of a thing that they decided would allow them to manage it. Okay. Which feels convenient, but whatever. They have this open thing and, she discovers this secret on him and blows up his life. I mean, and she didn't have to do that, right? Because you're sleeping with her. The lady clearly loves you. And I feel like she would have given you the attention that you needed. Even though she was married to him, the way that woman, and I can't think of her name, but she played in the movie Mississippi Masala with Denzel Washington years and years ago. But anyway, I feel like if Jerry just plays her card right, she probably is going to see about her anyway. She's probably going to spend the bulk of her time between her husband and Jerry. But Jerry's so greedy. She's so selfish. She's so self-indulgent that she doesn't care. She doesn't think about, first of all, her love interest. She doesn't think the impact that this is going to have on her. And she doesn't think about their kids. And it's just foul. And, again, when the whole thing comes out that he's doing something illegal with, I think his daughter's trust fund or something like that, and misappropriating funds, and he ends up killing himself. And Jerry is so duplicitous, she goes to the funeral, right? Which, I'm not going to lie, Jordan, if I was his wife, I would have beat Jerry's ass. That, like, you going to show up at that day, you'd have got it. But that's me. Give me your thought on, just give me your thought on this scenario, on this scene, and just give me your thoughts on it. Because this to me is the lowest thing she's ever done.
This character is so pointless. This character is literally just a massive speed bump that you still can just drive over. Like it's not massive, like a speed bump that's not really tall. It's just really wide, so it's just annoying. She is such a pointless character. And she could be more important. I could care for this character more. But the way she's written in all 3 seasons and in all the other shows, there's no point of having this character whatsoever in anything. And this whole plot was just adding fuel to the fire. And I don't care about this character at all. And this stranger who, I mean, look, I don't know how, I don't remember specifically how he's misappropriating funds, but either way, I look at it this way: both two adults had a kid, and they no longer have that kid, and they have a lot of money because of that. I don't care what you do with the money. Like, you lost your kid. I think whatever you end up doing, even if it's maybe for a bad reason, that's just probably a trauma response.
It's catharsis. Yeah, it's catharsis. Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. And for Jerry to be even involved in this situation whatsoever, it's just so annoying. And
it's despicable. It is despicable.
I was not expecting that to go that way, which is, and I'm just like, you're just, I respect the lizard, or not lizard. I respect the vulture more than I respect you. Like at least I get what the vulture's doing. Like if we were to rank all the villains, I would love to see, because Jerry's not a villain. I would love to see where I put Jerry in terms of just how evil she is. Like there's a difference between being an evil human being and being a villain in these movies and shows, but she would probably be higher than most villains that we've had. Because she's not an antagonist. Again, she's not a villain either. She's just a bad person.
I think the purpose of Jerry is to hold up a mirror to Jessica and say, this is what you don't want to be. I think her entire purpose, at least in this series, is to show Jessica and Malcolm, this is what you don't want to be. This is where you don't want to go. Because let me tell you something, money and power can corrupt many a person. Many a person. Many people don't always start out as villains. A lot of them start out naive, and they start out trying to do the right thing, and step after step, and when you tell one lie, you got to tell another, and you tell two lies with that. It's a momentum thing, right? And I think she really serves as a reminder, as a cautionary tale of what not to be, right? At the beginning of the season, Malcolm is, basically helping this guy, the drunk driver, get off again for the third time. And you know what? He finally says enough of this and hits the guy, ironically, and puts him in a situation where he can't play again. Problem solved, because now he's not going to be able to afford an attorney anymore, and the problem's going to go away. And I think he was justified. Now, according to the law, not so much, but you know what? His decision making was effective, right? Then he's got to do something questionable, and he's the one that looks up the information for Jessica to use on her ex's husband. And I think that wears on him, because the guy does kill himself, right? And then when Hogarth just decides, yeah, I'm going to represent this serial killer, he's like, enough is enough. So I get it. Let's talk about Jessica's character arc. So at the beginning of the season, she's doing her normal thing, pushing people away, drinking the coke, resisting connection. And by the end of the season, she finally accepts her role as a hero, choosing to stop running and embrace it. And I think a part of that is cutting the cord with Trish. And I don't think she wanted to do it, but I think it is something that she had to do because she realized Trish had lost it. And that for me was heartbreaking, because I know how much she loved Trish. Like that, I did not enjoy that part of the story, but Trish just wouldn't let it go. When she's got Salinger and he's in jail and she's got the evidence and he's about to face justice for what he did, and Trish decides to go down there into the jail and kill that guy. At that point, I said, okay, Trish, you get what you get. Like I can't help you. You know what I mean? You're not trying to help yourself here. Like there's no defending that.
Yeah.
You made it easy, right? And Oscar was I think he helped her to kind of try and trust again. They have the conversation about trust. He learns the art of sacrifice from her, because he decides to basically go around some very bad people and make himself bait so they can catch this guy. And he chose justice over personal happiness. So I think his arc is basically becoming less selfish and taking on a cause that's bigger than himself. That was my thought on him. So In Act 3, Salinger's endgame plays out through the season's most kinetic sequences, including the car chase confrontation. Trish kills Salinger herself without Jessica's knowledge or consent. The season's real climax, Jessica and Trish collide on the rooftop in the system's emotional high point. Jessica makes the devastating choice to turn Trish in. Let's talk about that, man, because that was tough. I felt bad for Jessica and I felt bad for Trish because I feel like, not that this wasn't Trish's fault, but I feel like some of this was the affect of the IGH serum on her brain. Let's talk about that. How much of that, of her actions, do you feel like is her and her morally gray area, and how much of it is the medication? Because we saw, what was the guy's name, the Patriot, we saw him go through the same thing. We saw him have moments of I don't want to say delusion, but moment of lax lucidity when it came to right and wrong. We saw him go through this. So how much of this is the serum and how much of this is Trish?
I think it's all Trish, and I think that this serum just heightens whatever it is underneath that whole like a good man, great soldier, good soldier, great man type thing with Captain America, where it's like it's just gonna bring out what you already are, and it's gonna heighten that. That's the way I've looked at it. I will say, the last 3 episodes are the most roller coaster of the entire series for me.
Absolutely.
Because episode 10 is when Trish's mom gets murdered, and we see that happen, which we're heightened in terms of everything going on. Episode 11, in the aftermath of that, was not good for me, because look, I've been spoken about Trisha's mom that I just don't like her, but there are some parts where people are like, you mentioned this in season 2, where people would go up to her and say like, oh, your mom's it taught me so much and this and that and dance. Yeah, look, I know people who will treat like the people out in the public so nice and so great, but behind closed doors, they're just an absolute awful human being. That's exactly what Trisha's mom is, and I don't respect her at all. So when she died, I had no sympathy whatsoever. I'm like, whatever. I understand you raised these two. You're still an awful human being, and you caused trauma to both of these two women. Because they already one of them already had trauma, and you just added more fuel to that flame. And your own daughter, putting her into Hollywood as much as you did, and putting her in these situations, like, yes, Trish in her later years fed into that. But at such a young age, she did not understand that. So, her dying, I was just like, whatever. And, which I understand and I get. I like that it created this rift with Trish and Jess so much, following this. But this episode 11 is dedicated to flashbacks of like her mom and her and getting her into Hollywood and stuff like that. And it's almost trying to make you sympathetic for Trish. But at the end of the day, I still didn't like their mom at all. Like, it did nothing for me. And for that, it's the lowest rated episode of the entire series for me. I gave it a 2 out of 10 because I'm just like, and there was not much that extended the whole plot. It didn't make me care for any character more. I just didn't care. If anything, it pushed me in a direction that's like, wow, I cannot believe her mom really put her into Hollywood at this young an age, and basically she was inherently like bullying her with like the changing of like hair and stuff like that. She was basically showing her like, oh, you need to change your look in order to make it into this business. And I'm like, that's such an awful thing to do. You're a parent and you're doing this. This is you're an awful human being. Like you need to be able to show your kid that like no matter who you are, always be you. That's literally not what she's doing. The complete opposite of that. So yeah, no, I can't stand her mom at all. So when she dies, goodbye, sayonara. And this episode sucked. Then episode 12 and 13 were my two highest rated episodes. In fact, episode 13 was arguably my highest rated episode of the entire series. So how much of a roller coaster is that from the worst to the arguably the best? And episode 12, I love the strategy behind like capturing Salinger and stuff like that. And when Salinger dies, that whole sequence was the best of the entire series. Watching Trish kill him and then seeing everybody's reactions in that courthouse to him, his mangled body. I wish we would have seen it, but we didn't. And like I was like, and I'm so glad that Jerry was one of the first people to see, because I'm like, yeah, like I don't like you to begin with, so maybe you should be the first to experience this trauma. So you go in there, go see what's going on. Yeah, I really like the way that whole scene played out for everyone, where it's like we finally have justice, but then all of a sudden the elevator door opens and we're like, justice can't be served today. Because I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, I think we've said this in the last few episodes and shows and movie reviews, where it's like sometimes death is better than imprisonment. And this is one of those things where it's like he died, and for a lot of people, it's like he should have been imprisoned. And his death just doesn't. It does nothing for Trish emotionally, and she realizes that, which leads to her outcome in episode 13.
Yeah. So, not to be at odds with you, buddy, but I felt like. Because let me tell you something. There's three sides to every story. There's yours, there's mine, there's the truth.
Yours, mine, and ours. Great movie.
Yeah. Could Trisha's mom have been better? Certainly, but let's be real. She's not getting her child support money. It's not enough. She's a single mom. She's trying to take care of her. They're behind on bills, and everything is riding on Trish making it in the now. I mean, what's best for the child? No, because to be honest with you, when my kids were younger, I had talent scouts come up to me and I wouldn't let them do it, specifically because of what it does to child actors. Now, if they got to be 17 and 18 and they wanted to do it, fine. But when they were in their formative years, absolutely not. And I was approached at least 3 times for Maya, at least 3 times for Zach, and at least twice for Mariah. And every time I was like, absolutely not. Because number one, you're not going to be with your kids every day. You're not going to have control over that. And I did not want to subject them to that. Right. But then again, being a parent doesn't come with a handbook. And I'm not making excuses. I'm simply saying 2 things. Number one, people can change. Okay. And what I saw with all of these people coming up to her, telling her that your mom helped me do this and your mom helped me do that, it showed 2 things. Number one, she had other clients. Trish was not her only client. And so when she was trying to get Trish to come back, Now, she may have viewed Jessica through a foul lens. I'll give you that. But I truly believe she loved her daughter the best way she could. Right? Again, parents are not perfect, and I'm not making excuses. She was not the best mom, but I truly believe in her later years, she grew to really, really love Trish, and she was trying to do the best for her. And I think the proof of the change was the fact that so many people came up to Trish saying, "Your mom helped me do this. Your mom helped me do that." Da 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 da. Now, could she have been duplicitous and been the person that you talk about that really behind scenes? Oh, she's definitely evil. She could have been, but the truth is, she probably
She
was somewhere in the
was.
middle.
She was. I mean, you could see how it was even in season 2. They definitely show it with like the bathroom sequence with Trish and Jess. That's like, she just there. It's not a too little, too late for me because I don't think anything's ever too late.
Right.
I don't believe in that. I think that's that's not right. Anything
Right.
can, even if it's your last moments, you can still have forgiveness for someone.
Right.
But it felt like she didn't try in terms with her and Trish. So she tried in other ways. She tried to show Trish, look how good I'm doing with all of these girls. And instead of confronting Trish and trying to repair their relationship, she tried to basically be a salesperson of emotion. And that's what I'm like, you're a bad person. Because you can't be pitching the idea of, look how good of a person I am.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go to that person and repair that relationship, not show why you're a good person, and because that inherently doesn't make you a good person. And because you're trying to repair a relationship by showing your relationship with others. It's like, okay, this is why I'm a good person, so we should have a good relationship. No. That's that's wrong. And also, I'm, as someone who was raised by a single mother, who at one point was working 3 jobs, there's no excuse in the book for why she should be putting her daughter through all of this to pay bills and stuff. There are other avenues. Okay.
There's work at the post office.
Yes. There's no. I have no sympathy whatsoever for her at all. Like, you can work your 9 to 5, work your 5 to 9, and I've seen, and not even just with my mom, with other people's parents go through that. So she has no sympathy whatsoever for me. She's not there physically, she's not there emotionally, she's not there in any sort of way, and she's trying to be, like I said, a salesperson of emotion instead of being direct with her. Especially with how season 2 played out. Mm-hmm. Season 1 and 2 showed me, like, season 1 and 2 were showing me how bad of a person this person is, and then it's like with this one episode tried to make an excuse for all of that. And I'm like, it's way too late. We are talking episode 11 of 13 in the final season of 3 seasons. It's way too late. If you showed me this episode at the beginning of season 2, maybe. And obviously I would have liked to have seen a different character arc then, for the mom. But it's too little, too late. You don't gain any sympathy from me. especially again, I know people who are like salespeople when it comes to emotions, and they try to show you how great of a person they are or from what they've done. It's like you can donate billions of dollars to every charity in the world. That doesn't make you a good person.
That's true.
Like you have to like do you think some of the billionaires in this world, you think billionaires who donate billions to to all these charities, or think about every celebrity that has ever donated anything at all, athletes, actors, actresses, singers that have donated to causes beyond, for like hurricanes, for cancer research, for all of that. Think about that. But we don't know how they are behind closed doors. I mean, I'm sure OJ Simpson donated money. like I'll go there. So we don't know how they are behind closed doors. So does that make you a good person because you do that, because you do a good act? No. And that's where I have no sympathy for her whatsoever. And I thought this episode just didn't. It was way too late to be having this episode, and it felt like it was unnecessary at the end of this.
I liked it. I did like it. I felt like it was a send off. And look, people give you what they have. You don't know what the dynamic was with her and her mother. You don't know what she saw. Oftentimes, parents pass down what they've seen, what they've experienced. Again, I'm not making an excuse for it. She did make some bad decisions. I will give you that. But I think towards the end, I think she did her best, because whenever Trish was hurt, she was always there. Now, you might not have liked her. You might not have liked, but she was there. Hey, what happened? Did she try and turn it into an opportunity? Yes, but I think a large part of what she was trying to do was, number one, keep her daughter off drugs. Okay, because her daughter did have a drug problem, and she was trying to stay in her daughter's life. Now, I mean, it is what it is. I respect what you said, and you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I just I've
I know people like this. I know people really close that are like this, I'm like, ooh, I'm like, wow, you're I know. Oh, I have one specific one, but I'm not gonna say.
I think people give you the best that they. I think she gave her the best that she had to give her. Was she a perfect mom? Absolutely not. Was she a good mom? I mean, that's not for me to say. Probably not. But I think towards the end, and when I say the end, in Trisha's adult life, I think she did what she could to make up for it. Doesn't mean that you even the scales. It doesn't. You know what I mean? She did a lot of damage to Trish. A lot of damage to Trish. She was irresponsible. She was careless at some point. But I think seeing the impact that it had on Trish, I think she tried to do it differently. Doesn't mean she succeeded. Because half the time when whatever she told Trish didn't listen to her anyway. And that's probably a result of Trish blaming her for what happened to her. And look, I get it. I understand. Adult children oftentimes will not listen to their parents. They, not all the time, but oftentimes, look, they won't. And I'm not saying Trish didn't have a right to put her where she put her. I'm simply saying I think, the lady tried towards the end, and, whatever. It is what it is. Let's talk about what worked and what didn't in this series. So I think Jessica Jones, again, very strong performance. Trish, I think, did a great job of descending into madness. I think that's very believable. I think she was always heading towards this. I think the most damage that Trish's mom, speaking of that, ever did to Trish was she made her focus so much on the outside that she truly forgot about the inside. Mm-hmm. She made her focus on that. And Trish wanted so bad to be a hero on the outside that she never thought of the cost and what it would take on the inside.
Mhm.
And
And it just adds another layer of like it's an emotional trauma that Trish is going through because of what her mom did to her.
but
It's
no, I mean that's yeah.
and
I can't.
what
Yeah,
what I would have done to write her out if she's gonna end up being killed, her mom, is to somehow maybe her last conversation or at some point earlier in this season have a conversation about like it's not about what you do on the outside, but it's about what you do on the inside. And maybe I was too late in thinking about that. Like that would have been a great way of fixing this.
yeah,
And that also, and having her go through that clarity in the final episode would have been fantastic. But in the end, it felt like that didn't happen at all. I mean, it didn't happen at all.
yeah. I do need to make one correction in that I said it was Oscar, but the guy with the headaches was Eric Geldon.
Eric. Okay.
Oscar was the super that she dated, that ends up dating somebody else, but he comes to her like a man and says, "Hey, I found someone, but you know, I still want you to know I care about you," and blah 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 blah. And there's that. But Eric Geldon was the one with the headaches. He's the one that really helps identify Salinger and kind of is Jessica's guinea pig at trying to capture him. And it's his arc I was talking about. So apologies for that. It was not Oscar, but it was Eric's Eric. But yeah, it felt grounded. I like the fact that Jessica had to make a choice between doing the right thing and being a sister. And look it, I wouldn't blame her if she'd have chose to let Trish go, because this is her sister, right? This is her day one. Like, she's been with this girl for a large part of her life, and her mom died, and she was clearly going through something. And that's just tough. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Jordan. A lot of people might have decided to let Trish go. I'm not saying I would have, but a lot of people would have been like, I'm just not going to turn on my sister. Now, it would have been worse because she would have kept on killing. But I understand making the decision, and I can appreciate that about her. I did like that. I like the fact that Salinger was a brains over brawn guy, because I think the one lesson that Jessica learned from this is you can't just rush into a situation. You got to be strategic. You got to think about this. You got to think about, I think this is one to grow on for Jessica. And I think she learned more from this experience than she did in season 2. I mean, she did heal the relationship with her mom, but I think she learned more about herself and about how she should approach things in season 3. So I liked it. I didn't necessarily care for the pacing. And I felt like some episodes dragged it out, but outside of that, that was how I felt about it. Let's talk about what worked for you and what didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll go into that final episode. Like, that's the end game here. That is exactly where this should have gone. And this is why this episode was clearly for me the best episode of the entire series, because we finally got to a point where it's like, Jess, you have to decide now. You send your sister to the raft, or try and help her go on the run. And it's like, wow. But my only problem with that is we went through the exact same thing the finale of the previous season, where it's like, do you put your mom in the raft, or do you go on the run with your mom? And for that, it does make Jess's decision easier, because she sees the outcome that it was with her mom, and that going on the run was never going to happen. It was never going to work. And so Jess's decision was easier. And I think Trish inherently accepts that more, not because of her mom, even though it should have been, but Trish then sees that Trish should see that she is then a parallel of Jess's mom from season 2, in that, okay, we now know what it would be like if you were to go on the run. Does not look good. So maybe just go to jail. Go to the raft. And it makes the decision, if that's not what we saw in season 2, which again I had my issues with season 2, then it would have probably made the decision harder in this season. But otherwise, I think the decision was really easy for them. It's not emotionally easy, but it's just a general, like, when you've already kind of gone through this, when two of the characters have already gone through this that are involved in this situation, it makes it easier to see the possible outcomes that would happen. But yeah, pacing was a huge issue for me. Like, the beginning of this season, I'm just like, what the heck is going on? I'm for like 3/4 of this season, I'm just like, what is going on here? And yeah, episode 11, like I said, was for me the worst episode. Then you go 2 episodes later, you're at one of the best episodes. It's frustrating. Like, I literally have negative, positive, 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 negative, negative, positive, negative, positive, positive. It's this roller coaster. And I say positive, I had a streak of positive, but they're like 5 to 6.5. That's not like anything like amazing. I had 3 episodes that were 7 or higher. And only one of them was above an 8. So and that was the finale. Very just roller coaster of a season. The different plot lines that were going on just with Jerry, didn't care for. These last 2 seasons felt it felt like there was no cohesion whatsoever. That was the one thing that held season 1 together, is like there was so much cohesion in the plot. Yeah. And it felt like everything was connected. Like, we were connecting Luke Cage to Kilgrave. And it's cool to see, because like, why else would we see Luke Cage and Kilgrave together? Right. But it made sense with the plot. Right. And the plot, just the last 2 seasons, it felt like they didn't know where they wanted to go with either season, or they didn't know it felt like they knew what their end goal was, but they didn't know how to get there. And it felt just so convoluted in terms of the way that they were going through everything and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know where we're headed here. I mean, I like the villain more in this, but otherwise, I'm just like, we're following along with Trish, and everybody else is so annoying. These 2 seasons, everybody was so annoying. It's very clear for me that season 1 is the best season, and that these 2 seasons, 2 and 3, are kind of in the same ballpark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Do you think it's because there were, sometimes different writers writing different episodes can be a good thing, but then sometimes not so much? Do you think that was a byproduct of that, maybe?
Yes. Oh, this is very clearly, this is an issue with having different writers for different episodes of a series. Like, I don't think this works for this type of series, because especially a noir esque mystery series, that does not work unless every episode is a different case that you're covering, like almost a Law and Order esque, which would have been fantastic for Jessica Jones. Would have been incredible. That would have worked. It would have made probably Jerry's character more likable. It would have made all these characters probably more likable because we're putting them all in different situations. But I think Kilgrave was such a good villain for season 1 that they kind of just couldn't do that. And it inherently made the next 2 seasons following that worse because you had an Avengers level threat in season 1. You can't go up from there in season 2 or 3. So it's like, and that's why I like season 3 with what the heck is the name? The villain,
Salinger.
Yes. Salinger, because it's more psychological and it kind of goes in the way of like Baron Zemo. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. And that's why season 2 just I'm like, all right, we got some issues here. But there's just so many. I don't know. This season was that's an issue that you have with a lot of things, and that's like Born Again season 1 had those issues, and and everybody saw that in the process of making it that they were like, let's just hire the writers of the first Daredevil season and call it and we'll have them just keep going through it. They're sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like for She-Hulk, made total sense because every episode was different. So it made total sense, even though I don't think She-Hulk was done very well because you shouldn't be doing that. It should have been a continuous story. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is one of those examples that you should have just had one writing team the whole time going through the whole process, or maybe have some more communication between the writer teams.
Okay. I mean, that's yeah. And the other part is some folks just don't work well together, you know?
Yeah.
Like, again, you and I have been we've been podcasting for damn near 2 years. How long have we been podcasting?
We're going on 2 years.
Yeah.
Going on 2 years.
So there's a chemistry that we have, obviously working together 2 years, that, again, it's like the chemistry I have with Jack, the chemistry I have with Carrie, chemistry I have with Eric, but you don't have that chemistry with everybody. I've worked with a lot of folks, and so everybody just doesn't mesh, right? So and I think that's, you can see that in the finished product with season 3 and season 2. You kind of look at it and you're like, and I'm not saying the writers didn't like each other. They could have been the best of friends, but there wasn't just chemistry there. Does that make sense?
Right.
All right. Let's get to the ratings. So for me, I watched this twice in the past 3 weeks, and it changed for me. Mm-hmm. It did change for me. So first time I saw it, I thought I'm gonna give this a 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it again.
If you give it an 8, I swear to God.
Oh no.
Okay, we thank you. We don't need more 8s. No. You don't need more 8s.
No, I don't. That is true. But just after watching it again, and specifically the cohesion in the plot, and certain things felt out of sync, right? So for me, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
6. All right.
Yeah. Now, where is it?
You only have one other 6 out of 10, and that's Iron Fist season 2. So it's which was better between.
We're gonna put it that's good. That's good. I'm gonna put it below Iron Fist season 2. Yeah, I'm gonna put it below Iron Fist season 2. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, I said it.
I agree, and I agree with you. I enjoyed Iron Fist season 2, so I agree with you. All right, what do you think I gave this?
Knowing you, I'm gonna say a 5.5. No, wait. You enjoyed this more then you enjoyed the second one.
Did I?
I think you. Well, damn it. I'm gonna say you gave it a 5.5.
I did. I actually did. I gave it a 5.5.
That's what I thought.
I have it below season 2. Mainly because I think there was more cohesion with the story. And I think it was more. I felt more of. I don't know. I guess the story just kind of blended more well together. It just felt like they had the right points of this season to make it better, and maybe even the best. The execution is just not there at all.
I agree.
Again, this is a Marvel series, and we still have an issue of it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what else is interesting. I did not like Jessica in season 1 because I just felt like she was an ass. But I really empathized. By the time we get to season 3, she's been through so much. I really empathized for her. And I liked her, and I felt bad for her having to make that choice. But to your point, the execution of the story and how we got there could have been so much better. So I agree with that. I do.
And
I agree with that.
I do have two other things that are 5.5 out of 10. I have Thor at a 5.5 out of 10 and Iron Man 2 at a 5.5 out of 10. But this is the lowest of those two. If you gave me all three, I'm going to watch Thor over that and then Iron Man 2 over that.
Yeah.
It just, I think and it's still a positive review for me, because I think there is a lot that works compared to the overall grand scheme of, like, if you're just putting something on, I think the acting's fine. I think Jessica carries from an acting perspective. Christian Ritter. Christian Ritter does a fantastic job of acting.
She does.
And like, I fully believe, and now anytime I see her in interviews, I just see Jessica Jones. And Christian Ritter does interviews, and she seems like the nicest person ever, but I just see Jessica Jones every time, and she loves this character so much. All the other actors, they do a great job of acting, the dialogue and stuff like that. Maybe the actress who plays Trish is probably, it's ironic because she's playing a former child actor, but maybe her acting was a bit over dramatic a lot of the time. Acting was good. Like, I think plots were like fine compared to other things that I've seen, so like, it's still a positive review for me, but it's just like 5.5 is a score that's like, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to like this, but I think most people will have an okay with time with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the story. I have you to thank for that. I think one of the things that I've learned from you is that when you're looking at a comic book movie, it's twofold. It's not only is it in alignment with the comics or not, but it's also the story. Is it a good storyline? Is it believable? Does it make sense? Does it breathe? Does it breathe like it's a wine? Does it flow? There's so much to that. So, again, it wasn't a bad story. I think they could have chosen a better way to get there. That we are in alignment there. We agree there. So let's talk about what we're doing next, buddy. I was about to say my guy, and then I thought buddy, and oh my God. So truth be told, I've not been to sleep since yesterday because I was up and I got so excited about Jessica Jones that I couldn't go to sleep, because I think I sent you the deck last night and then I redid it like 3 or 4 times. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Long story. but we're doing Deadpool 2
Yes,
Tuesday,
we are.
right? Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right. So
I will say Deadpool 2. So this is gonna be the last project we watch before we get into Days of Future Past, which when we get to Days of Future Past, which will be later on this week, it I'm gonna have to take some time during that video to explain the way that movie screws with the multiverse
Right.
the most of any movie we've gone over.
Okay.
And will go over. I will include like Endgame and Loki. I will include all of that. This screws up with everything the most, and it leads to the events of Deadpool and Wolverine. It leads to and eventually Doomsday. From every source I've heard is this is that Deadpool Days of Future Past is such an important movie for Doomsday. But what leads to that is also some of the events of Deadpool 2. So this Deadpool 2 is it's so funny. We reviewed Deadpool 1 and we had a great time with that, but there is a lot of crucial elements of this movie that lead to a domino of what unfolds in Deadpool and Wolverine and across the multiverse, and eventually going to be Doomsday. So this is even though I've always had a mixed bag of emotions when it comes to Deadpool 2, but I will say it's what happens at the beginning of the movie. I remember I watched Deadpool 2 in the theater with my mom, and she had, to this day, I've never seen her more shocked at a character's death in any movie or show that we've ever watched. And I'm still surprised to this day. I'm like, I can't believe you reacted that way to this character's death. Like it's interesting. But yeah, Deadpool 2, I liked it when it came out. I'm curious going back and watching it, how we review it.
Yeah, it should be interesting, man. It should definitely be interesting. And hey, man, the good news is we are done with all of the 13 episodes. We are so done. And I am so happy. So tell these folks where they can find you, man.
You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. I cover all things sports. We're redoing our the player of the years. We're almost done. We've gotten all the way to 1945 voting on the best players from every season for the NFL. You can find me on Letterboxd. That's where I review all my movies. I've watched a lot of movies over the last week. I watched most recent movie I watched was Jackass Best and Last, which surprisingly left me, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it surprisingly left me really emotional. Mainly because you see it on the faces, especially Johnny Knoxville during the movie, that like this is their last one.
It's their last one.
And like and he's said it before after movies that like, yeah, this is the last one, but never to this extent how emotional he was. And I mean, these guys, their bodies are done. Like Johnny Knoxville's probably in his 50s, and he's probably got the body of a 90-year-old because of everything he's gone through. And I mean, when Ryan Dunn died, like that was a whole thing in itself. And I mean, my first rated R film ever was the first Jackass movie. I watched that on DVD. And then the first rated R movie I saw in theater was Jackass 3D. And I played all the Tony Hawk games, so all these guys were in the Tony Hawk games. I would play as Wee Man all the time in Tony Hawk Underground 2. It was so like I grew up with these guys, and it was it was really emotional, and for me that was probably the best Jackass movie that I've seen. And like Best and Last, I fully agree with that title because of the emotion there's no emotions in these movies.
Mhm.
There shouldn't be any emotions.
Mhm.
But this movie, there was just this added layer of emotion that just was never going to ever be present in any of the other movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had seen Supergirl. I was really frustrated with that movie overall. I
So is America.
I wanted to like it so bad. It was one of my most anticipated films going into the year. I was so excited. And I was so disappointed. I don't think it's I don't think it's a completely bad movie by any means. I did give it a negative review. But I think it could have been so much better. And I also think James Gunn, when he announced Supergirl, said it was going with a certain plot line with Supergirl. They don't go with that plot line whatsoever. They touch on it for like 5 minutes, and that, in my opinion, is the best part of the entire movie. But otherwise, they don't go through with that. Really rocky start to the DCU with. I mean, I like Superman's a good start, but Supergirl did not. I don't. It's not making very much money.
I felt like it was gonna tank. The moment I saw that trailer, like I felt like it was gonna.
I also think it was marketed poorly. It was marketed like Supergirl is a different character than Superman. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl is a tragic story. Superman is your golden child, your pony boy. And I think the dialogue that's had in this movie is to show that. And I like that. But Supergirl is supposed to be like the Superman not the Superman. Supergirl is supposed to be the Spider-Man for DC, in that not like the type of hero that they are, but in terms of the tragedy that they go through and the comeback story. Yeah. Yes, that comeback is what makes them great. Okay. And when I thought they were going to go with the storyline where, I'll say this in the comics, just spoiler alert if you want to read the comics, but when Krypton is dying, obviously Kal-El Clark goes and gets sent off and goes to Earth, but there's a small group of Kryptonians that survive, and they're basically like in a bubble trying to survive. But as the years go on, she watches all of her friends and family, everyone die because they're getting kryptonite poisoning. Mm-hmm. And so she has, and in some iterations, they also have like other alien races like going in and fighting wars and stuff and killing people. And she's the last surviving person, and she has to watch them all die. So that comeback is what made that one of the greatest comic book storylines for DC ever. And I thought they were going to go with that. They did not. That movie would have been incredible. That's all they had to do. They had to just take that, put it on the screen, and call it a day. And they showed that, a little bit of it, in this movie for like 5 minutes. But then it just went away. And
you think they chickened out? You think somebody above him was like,
He is. There's nobody above him. I mean, Warner Brothers has given him James Gunn full reins of this. So, and this wasn't his script either, but he has to approve every script. So that's where I point the finger at you, James Gunn, and I'm like, and I trust James Gunn. I'm not one that I'm hopping off the James Gunn wagon for this. I trust James Gunn can get this done. It's just the blueprint for what you're doing with DC right now is very confusing. And like, they're going to be announcing who's going to be voicing / acting as Darkseid soon, when we don't even know who's playing Batman. That's frustrating for me. That's like announcing Thanos. Who's going to be playing Thanos before you announce who's going to be playing Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? So, just a frustrating start. I think the next movie, again, it's just so confusing. But I heard the script was great for this, so that's
Clayface.
where Clayface. Very odd. Like Clayface is not even like a B tier Batman villain.
No, he's not.
Like this is the equivalent to doing like a Whiplash movie for before you do an Iron Man movie. It's just I can't even. I think more people know who Electro is than Clayface. Like even it's saying an Electro movie feels like I'm putting too much of a pedestal on. The Electro is probably more well known now than Clayface, but there's tragedy behind Clayface. So guess what? I expect a tragedy in terms of what I'm watching. So if it's not like I expected out of Supergirl. So if I'm not getting that, and if this movie truly fails, because this is what everything's relying on. The budget for this is really low, unlike Supergirl. Supergirl had a high budget. The budget for this is really low. So it's James Gunn got the script first and loved it so much that he greenlit it. So I'm gonna let. I have no expectations whatsoever for this movie. But if this movie doesn't even fails to meet the financial standards, I don't know how they're going to be able to afford to do anything else going forward.
Well, we will see.
Also, one other thing I'm watching. One last thing. I'm watching. All right, this is a show that I was recommended because I love the show How I Met Your Mother. New Girl. I was recommended that by so many people to watch the show New Girl, and it is one of the funniest shows that I've ever watched in my entire life. Right now, I'm 5 seasons in, and it is 10 out of 10 for me. I just really hope it ends on a high note, unlike How I Met Your Mother, which the ending is reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. But yeah, that's what I'm watching lately.
That's awesome. I've been watching The Big Bang Theory, which I think Sheldon is hilarious. Yeah, he gets better and better. I just think he is one of one. He is one of one. That's what I'll say.
Just wait till you get to watching Young Sheldon for the first time. It's gonna rip your heart out and stomp on it. I love it. Young Sheldon is a 10 out of 10 show for me. I love that show. So, and I do think it's better than Big Bang Theory. And I just had this conversation yesterday with my stepsister, where she's watched Big Bang Theory, but she hasn't watched Young Sheldon. And I said, you need to watch it. Like, I thought it was going to be dumb when I saw it. I was like, this is just a stupid, like, what we're just doing spinoffs just for spinoffs. But I watched it, and I do firmly believe, I will stand by this till the day I die, that it is a better show than The Big Bang Theory by far.
Okie doke. Well, with a recommendation like that, I can't do anything but watch it. So, hey, stay tuned. We will be back come Tuesday, and looking forward to it. I think I'm going to watch a couple of episodes of The Big Bang Theory today. I think I'm on season 6. It's 12 seasons. I'm on season 6 now. So, but I watched some of the funniest episodes last night. Oh, my God. But I'll tell you that off camera. Anyway, hey, to everyone who joined us, thank you. We appreciate that. And we will see you Tuesday talking about Deadpool 2. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you when we see you. Peace.
This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classes, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will. we capture is the real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the